I have that story written because when I was 18, I come from the oil field and oil and gas background. And so what I did every year to work my way through college at Texas A&M and was to pipeline. And so one summer, we knew there was a leak in a portion of line that was a portion of line that no one would go check. And it had not been checked in over 20-something years. And, you know, when you're 18, you know more than everybody else. And you think they're all crazy why they won't walk through this 2-mile section of line to figure out where the leak is. And I said, so I'll do it. And when we got to the place for me to go in, it's called the Kangurger Swamp. And I looked at it and I said, well, where's the pipeline? They said, it's in there somewhere. And this one guy who was a Christian, there was only one that I was working with, he said, God's going to do something with you in there because this is not going to be a pretty sight ahead. And I really think what you're sharing is really what's ahead for us. And so to walk this line, because I can't believe you shared this, to walk this portion, all you got were a pair of waders up to here and a machete. That's all you got. And if you didn't find your footing through there, if you step one step over, you would actually sink. Because the pipelines had been open for forever. And so I started through there, and I realized what an idiot I was. And how dangerous this was. And I was coming back to the Lord, but that accelerated it. Quickly. Because if you got off center at all, you were in trouble. Now, hear what I'm telling you prophetically. If you got off center this way, you were in trouble. If you got off center this way, you were in trouble. And water was up to minimum your waist. And then the weeds were up over your head. And I kept saying, what in the world have I done? And all I could remember is what that one guy said to me. God's going to do something in you. And I was about a third through, and I really didn't even know if I was going the right direction. And all of a sudden, it's because it's got trees hanging over it from where used to they had made a way through there. All of a sudden, this black moccasin drops down in front of me. And all I could do was say, after I said several things, because like I said, I was coming back. All I could do was take the machete, and if you don't hit a moccasin, moccasins are mean. And where there's one, there's lots. And I knew I had one shot at that thing, its head, because it came down. Now, there has got to be no coincidence, this man who shared this with us. Because it was one of the life-turning moments in my entire life that brought me into a new level of awakening with the Lord. And then I realized, I don't even know if I'm right, and I could be eaten before I'm out of this thing. And the Lord spoke to me. It's been real interesting with my life. When I've been able to hear him. No matter when. I can remember since I'm 11 years old, if I had to hear the Lord, I could hear him. He said, look up. Now, this is a word for us. He said, do not look down at all this stuff that you're about to go through. Now, hear what I'm saying. I had no idea I would share this tonight. Do not look down at what you're about to go through. look up. And when I looked up, I could look about a mile ahead, and I saw where the trees had an opening in it. And the Lord said, keep your eyes fixed on that opening in the heaven. And if you'll keep your eyes fixed on it, you will make it through this place. Now, I believe we have heard tonight where we're headed. So I think as a prophetic act, you just need to raise your machete up for a moment and say, Lord, keep us looking up. And the snakes ahead will have no heads. Let's thank God for that. Goodness. Now let me show you a few things as we move forward. And this is what we're ahead for 2 years and 4 months. You can mark it down today. We are ahead. We are coming through this place. Say, we're coming through this swamp. And it is a swamp that we're about to come through. Now, we're in this time of breaking out of conventional ways of thinking. This is very key for us if we're going to make it through this place that we're headed through. And with that, you have to understand, we're making a shift into harvest. It's not what we think. And anytime you're moving into a harvest season, what happens is the separation gets worse and worse and worse, and greater and greater and greater. Over these next 2 years, you will see one of the greatest separations in this nation. It will almost look like the Civil War has come. It's just that God is going to have to define this separation so we fully understand it. It will cause his people filled with the Spirit to rise up as one. Now, it's what's going to happen with us. We won't have time for the racism card. We won't have time for all of that because we're going to have to be one. And the voices with the anointing, we're going to have to learn to follow after the anointing and be able to see the anointing, because the separation is going to get greater and greater. Now, with that, we're shifting from church fully into kingdom. This is the best example of a kingdom meeting. Best example of a kingdom movement. Everybody say movement. Now, this is what the Lord told me, and it's a new day. We can't think church. What God has been doing in you is to get you into kingdom thought. And the kingdom is within you. So that means it's you that is about to decree some things you've never decreed before. And move forward and exhibit some things you've never exhibited before.